My fellow Americans, it's a great honor to serve in the Texas National Guard. And it's a great honor to serve God in the Texas National Guard. It takes a heart of love for God and a love for others to be in the chaplaincy. Sergeant Major Manuel Perez came into the military with the goal of getting an education, but quickly fell in love with the Texas National Guard and the idea of serving his fellow servicemen through leading by example. His way of influencing others was to share from his heart a scripture, maybe a story, or something that would strike the mark, be exactly what was needed in the moment of need, and offer ongoing comfort and hope to servicemen needing a little perspective, if you get my meaning. Sergeant Major Perez learned its skills and got a master's in Christian ministry. He says, Shirley made me do it. His wife, Shirley, of 30 years, was a great motivator and an inspirator to Sergeant Major Perez. He says, she was my better 2/3. Actually, folks, Sergeant Major Perez credits his beloved wife with the pursuit of ministry. She was a piano player, and he wanted to be a preacher, because he figured if his wife's a piano player, he ought to be a preacher. But she says, baby, you don't have to be a preacher just because I'm a piano player. And so, okay, good. Well, he pursued his career in IT, which of course has to do with Al Gore's internet, which we call the algorithm. Of course, he threw a bone to me by starting it off with www. Sergeant Major Perez tells a story of one time when they were setting up the big old tents out in the field, and they had them all over the place. And he had his 8 guys. They had their big old tent set up. It was a medium or a large or small or something like that. And they were all bunking down in their cots. And all of a sudden, wow, a big storm came up. Lightning flashed and thunder rolled and wind howled. And they began to think that maybe these tents are going to blow away. So each of the 8 guys underneath the tent grabbed a pole. Now, normally, I don't listen to the poles. I barely listen to the French. So they grabbed these poles, and they held them down, and the flaps went up. They flew in the air with the wind and the waves and the lightning and thunder. And then after the storm passed, whoosh, they went back to bed in their soaking wet sleeping bags in their cots. Blech. A very sloggy night they spent. But when they got up the next morning and went outside, all of the other tents were literally on the ground. And somebody told them there had been a twister come through their area the night before. Well, such are the adventures of a chaplain. You never know what's going to happen next. He was telling me a story of one guy who was screaming bloody murder in his bunk one night, just screaming as though he was being attacked in a knife fight or something. And I could relate, because I've had some nights alone with Laura when it felt like, it was going to get rough. But hey, Chaplain Perez just went and he shared a scripture with that young man about the peace of Christ that passes understanding. And right then and there, that peace that passes understanding came and ministered to that young soldier. And he settled down and made it through the rest of his tour just fine. It was amazing. And when you have the opportunity to serve others, you get a front row seat to amazing opportunities, and Sergeant Major Perez saw lots and lots of them. His time serving the Texas National Guard, 34 years, was an absolute treat. He loved every minute of it. And if he had his choice, he'd still be there. Well, this man is a man worthy of honor, and I hope you'll help me honor him today. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.